India eats 1.2 billion dosas a day. Now, we can't fully verify that, but anything claiming that sort of number must be delicious. So if you're not familiar, a dosa is South India's beloved crispy crepe. Think of it as the world's most delicious savoury pancake, but Japan might have something to say about that. While they can seem intimidating to make at home, this recipe is guaranteed to give you great results no matter what kitchen you've got. Now, forget any special equipment. The secret to a golden crispy dosa is the method I'm about to share with you. By the end of this video, you're going to be making restaurant quality dosa with the perfect texture every time. And that's not all. We're going to complete the dish with an amazing spiced potato filling, 2 chutneys, and a special gunpowder spice mix. Now let's get stuck in. So first up, we need to make the batter, and it's accidentally, I guess, gluten-free. We've got 4 ingredients, excluding the water in the batter. Basmati rice, urad dal, which is a black lentil that's been skinned and is cut in half, basically. Then we have chana dal, which is a brown chickpea that's also skinned. Then we have fenugreek, which is a spice, like quite a fragrant spice, and you use quite a lot of this. All that goes into the bowl, your basmati rice into the bowl, then your chickpeas, and the urad dal. So this is a fermented batter. And what does that mean? Well, it means it's got to sit around for a while, and the bacteria have to grow in it, which is what gives it flavor and gives it fluffiness. So it looks like it's way more complicated than it is in the recipe. It's honestly not that complicated. From here, all we have to do is rinse all our grains 2 or 3 times, and then we're going to leave them in fresh water for around 4 hours. And that's for them to soak up some of the water and start to soften. At that point, we blend it with some of that water until we reach the consistency of something that looks like paint or wet paint. Now, one tip I will say is don't just pour all the water in at the start. Just pour a little bit in and add it as you need it, because you don't want to have to pull it out. Scared me. So do it in batches, and then you know it's done when you rub it together in your fingers, and you're gonna feel some grain. That's fine. You don't want it completely smooth. You probably won't get it completely smooth, but you don't want to feel like big lumps. Pour it into a container and continue with the rest. Okay, so this batter is now done for the next 10 to 15 hours, depending where you live in the world. And it really is the foundation of everything we're about to do. You got to get this right, otherwise you're not going to get the nice crisp dosa. It's not going to taste right. And worth noting that we haven't put any salt in this yet, and that's for good reason, because we don't want the salt to inhibit the bacteria growth. We'll put the salt in tomorrow when we're ready to actually make the dosa. The other thing we'll do is we'll make sure that the thickness is correct. So I'm really happy with this thickness right now, but I am going to keep this leftover liquid that we soaked our rice in, and that's what we can use to adjust the liquid if we need. So that's just going to get covered with a lid or a tea towel, whatever you like really. I'm going to leave that at room temperature for at least 10 hours, up to 15. We did one for 20 hours the other day and it was still perfectly fine, but it is cold where I am right now. Well, cold, it's like 15 degrees overnight. It's not that cold, but anyway, we'll see you tomorrow when we make one of these delicious crepes. It's a dosa, not a crepe, sorry. So chutneys. Now these are really important. I can't emphasize enough. The amount of effort you put into your chutney is what's going to flavor the whole dish. So we're going to do 2 chutneys, tomato chutney, coconut chutney, which is actually probably my favorite and really delicious. I mean, they're both delicious, but there's lots of chutneys you can do here. These are kind of the 2 of the more common ones, and they're pretty simple to make. You can also make it the day before, so you're just making the dosa on the day. But this tomato chutney is pretty simple. We're going to get all our ingredients ready to go in the pot, and then we'll get it into the pot and cook it out for about 40 minutes. So we've got a red onion. We are going to blitz all this, so you want it all the same size just so it cooks evenly, but you don't need to be kind of too critical of yourself. You've seen those videos where the street vendors are like cutting onions like crazy ways, and it's like, oh, this scares me every time. Tomatoes, 4. Also a weirdo and love the smell of tomato stalks. We're just going to dice these. Don't dice them too small because we want to keep all that tomato liquid that's in there. And if you dice them too small, most of it's going to run away. So in half, and then each half into quarters. We have 6 cloves of garlic. We are just going to smash them and run a knife through it. A thumb-sized piece of ginger. Now, as my mate Fred says, everyone's got different sized thumbs. Use what feels right to you. I feel like a thumb-sized piece of ginger is... I asked someone about it on one of my videos, and they were like, it's because a piece of ginger looks like a hand. So that's where the term came from. Technical term, I like it. We're just gonna slice it one way and then again the other way and then dice it. The other thing you could do is you could just shove your garlic and your ginger in a food processor and blitz it, make it like a garlic ginger paste, or you could grate it with a fine grater or a microplane. But considering we're going to blitz this, I would just prefer to dice it by hand. Then we've got 2 of the little green chilies. That is very common in India. If you can't find these, sometimes they can be hard to find. I used to struggle finding them in the Sunshine Coast. I can get them pretty easily now in Sydney. You can just use like the normal large size chili. They're not quite as spicy, those large ones. Just slice them through. The only other thing we need is these curry leaves, fresh curry leaves. Again, can be tricky to find. If you can't find them, unfortunately the dried stuff, I don't even know if you can get dried curry, I'm sure you can. It doesn't have the punchiness and flavor. So if you are using dried, like at least double it, or just leave it out, to be perfectly honest. So I've got a pot here, they're gonna cook the chutney in all the way through. Turn that on like a medium heat. Bit of neutral flavored oil on the bottom. Then we add mustard seeds, cumin seeds, and some of the urad dal, so the black lentils. We're just gonna toast those for a couple of minutes, just until the mustard seeds and the cumin are nice and aromatic, but don't burn it, whatever you do. Whatever you do, like it's like the world's gonna fall apart. It's not, but an Indian grandmother's gonna look down on you like you failed her at life. All right, our spices are nicely toasted and they're starting to pop like popcorn, so quickly get our onion in there, as well as the garlic, ginger, green chili, and our mustard, full mental blank, and our curry leaves. Pinch of salt. Just gonna saute this for 3 or 4 minutes until it starts to soften. Good smelling pot too. And you might be wanting to like rush and then just like get your tomatoes in there and cook it all down. Take the time to cook your aromats out first, because by the time you get your tomato and then you cook it out, you really wanna make sure that the onions, garlic, everything is cooked through and soft before you add anything else. It's all about layering flavor. All right, so our onions are nice and soft now. It's time to get the tomatoes in. Tamarind paste. I love tamarind. I could literally eat it like that. Add some water. Give that a stir. All right, now we're gonna simmer this medium-low heat for about 40 minutes till the tomatoes are fully cooked. All those flavors had a chance to come together. Then we'll blitz it and it'll be done. So while that's simmering away, let's crack on with our coconut chutney. And you need a coconut. Now you can do this with desiccated, but honestly, it's worth getting one of these and doing it properly. The first things first, you gotta crack your coconut. So you actually wanna crack it kind of this way. You know, do it over a bowl because we wanna save the coconut water. We're gonna use some of it in the recipe and I'll probably drink the rest because it's delicious. So you need a heavy knife. A cleaver works really well because we want the back of the cleaver and we're gonna whack it pretty hard. Just be careful, okay? Don't hit your hand. You're not gonna cut yourself with this. It's the back of a cleaver, but it's gonna hurt if you hit yourself with it. It's coming. Just keep turning it. Oh, hear that? It's now leaking on me. So we just need half of this. Save the other half for something else delicious. Save our liquid. So you can take a palette knife and just wiggle it in under the flesh and the skin and pop it out. And the reason I use a palette knife is because it's a lot safer to use than a knife. You could also use like the teaspoon, would work well, or the handle of a teaspoon. If you're lucky, sometimes they come out in like one big piece. I'm clearly not very lucky today. Then you can save this and make your sahi bowl in it, like everyone does in Bondi. First step, eat a piece because it's yum. And clean your board because it's gross. So now we need to get the rest of the skin off, the outside. So you can just use a blade to cut all that off. I bet there's a bunch of people already in the comments laughing at me about how I'm doing this. Like, but let me know in the comments, how should I do this? It's always good to learn. We're here now. Now we just need to cut our coconut up so it can get processed easier in the blender. And then our other ingredients, we've got a couple of shallots, which we're just gonna, they're also gonna get blended. So you can slice them up a little bit, but you don't need to get too fine. We've got a couple of green chilies. We're just gonna take the tops off those. And then about well, I guess a thumb size, a small thumb size piece of ginger. Just give it a fine dice so the blender's not starting from scratch. Then we've got some chana dal, so that's the chickpeas. We need to toast those. So I'm gonna move this out of the way. We've got a dry pan over a medium heat. We're also gonna add about a teaspoon of the ashwa, which is kind of like a caraway seed. Toast that really well. While those are toasting, let's get the blender ready. First thing in, coconut. Just dry. We just wanna start breaking this up. We'll start down low. And that's what we're looking for, like, looks like snow, light, fluffy. If you don't have a high-speed blender, and I fully respect that not everyone does, you can just grate this coconut. So do the same thing, keep it in bigger pieces, or bigger pieces you can, and then grate it as fine, or kind of as fine as you can. It's a bit of a pain in your arm, but it's perfectly like doable. It's not that much of an issue. Now we add everything else. So we got we got some curry leaves for a start, about 6 of those. Our green chili, our shallot, our ginger, and our toasted dal and spices, and around half a cup, we'll go about 2/3, half. That math's not working. We'll go just under half a cup to start to make sure we don't add too much. And a pinch of salt. On the lid goes. Stunning. Let's have a little taste. Oh, I love this chutney so much. And the best part, it's not even finished yet. I'll have a little tidy up and then I'll show you how to finish it. So to finish the chutney, we're just gonna add about a tablespoon of neutral flavored oils, like peanut, like I've got here, to a pan over a high heat. While that's heating up, I've got 1 dried red chili, which I am just gonna cut in half and just tap out any of the loose seeds. You don't have to stress too much about taking them all out, as I sit there and meticulously take every seed out. Tear those and get them in the oil to start infusing that oil. Then we have more curry leaves, so around 6 curry leaves in the oil as well, and black mustard seeds. Only take about a minute and a half over the heat, and then we're gonna pour it over our chutney. So over that goes. There you go, there's our coconut chutney done. Let's get a blender back out and we'll blitz our tomato on, and then we're almost ready to start making dosa, but before that, we just got the potatoes to make, and then the gunpowder. So our chutney's cooked for like 40 minutes, and honestly, I forgot about it for a second, so I added a little bit of water because it dried out a little bit. That stuff happens. Don't be afraid to just add a little bit of water if it gets a bit dry. All we need to do now is to blitz it quickly. We don't want it like a puree. We just want it a little bit less chunky than it is, and then it's good to go. One final taste, make sure the seasoning's right. Delicious, and it needs nothing else. Surprise myself sometimes. Yum. Honestly, even if you're like, I'm not making dosa, Andy, don't be silly. Just make this and have it in your fridge. It's delicious. Okay, the last thing we need to make, it's not the last thing at all, Andrew. We still need to make the gunpowder, but the next thing we need to make is the aloo, or the potato. So I've got some baby potatoes here that I've just boiled until they're cooked and they're soft. Put those aside for 1 second. A large pot over a high heat, add a couple of tablespoons of neutral flavored oil. Once your oil's hot, add 1 diced red onion, crushed garlic, green chili, curry leaves, and cumin seeds. Big pinch of salt. Saute that for 4 to 5 minutes until the onions start to go translucent. Now add your cooked potatoes and use a wooden spoon to start breaking them up. Finally, just a little bit of turmeric. Stir that through. Then we can leave that to the side until we're ready to use it. You don't want this cold when you put them in your dosa, but you also don't really want it piping hot. You want it kind of room temperature. And the reason that we break those potatoes up in there as opposed to kind of doing it ahead of time or in the water is because we want, a bit of texture. You still want some texture in the potato. You don't want like mashed potato like you would for mashed potato. Let's make some gunpowder. Pew pew! Gunpowder, which is kind of a pretty cool name. Pew pew! It's basically a spicy blend of dried toasted lentils, and you use it to sprinkle over your dosa before you fold it in. So we've got all 3 of our dal into a pan on a medium dry heat. We're going to toast these really well. So now our dal is all lovely and toasted. So it's got good golden color. We're going to add the sesame seeds and cumin seeds, and we'll just continue toasting that for another 2 to 3 minutes. Now they're done, just pour them out onto a tray. We need these to cool down a bit. So to that pan, a couple of tablespoons of neutral flavored oil, 4 cloves of garlic finely grated, 8 dried chilies, seeds and all. Don't be scared. It's called gunpowder for a reason. Pew pew! So I still don't have any heat on underneath this pan. The residual heat's enough. We don't want to burn this garlic, otherwise it's going to go really bitter. We're also going to add some curry leaves. Our ingredient of the day, or the MVP today, has been the curry leaf, isn't it? Pinch of salt. Oh, it smells so good. So I've got a spice grinder here, and all I've done is I've stirred through the chili and curry leaf mixture through the dal. Just gonna work in batches. In the spice grinder, make a mess. And we're just gonna blitz it until we have like a nice powder. Now, if you've done that in batches like I have, just make sure you give it a little mix to make sure that the chili level or the spice level is like even through the whole lot, and break any clumps up. But there's your gunpowder. That can also be used on anything really. It's really good on vada pav, which is like an Indian potato slider, and it's actually delicious. There's a video for that on my channel, links above up there. Right, that's the gunpowder sorted, everything's prepped, and it's time for the easy part. It's time to make the dosa. We've got everything ready. We've got some clarified butter melted, our gunpowder, our aloo, we've got 2 chutneys, got some banana leaves to serve everything on, and we have our fermented deliciousness. So we can see our batter is alive. It's got bubbles at the top. It's thickened up even more. You pull your finger through it and it stays, like it doesn't come back in on itself. And the flavor has developed immensely. Immensely, that's a big word for a simple guy like me. So we just need to season this with some salt now. Doesn't need to be crazy salty, you just need to season it. And then stir it through with your ladle. The last chance to check the consistency, I'm pretty happy with that. If it is a bit thick, then feel free to add a bit more of that leftover water that you should have saved. So we've got our tawa on heat. Now you do not need to use an actual tawa like this. You can just use a cast iron pan. The reason these work so well is because you don't have the edges, so it's easier to kind of get the edges in. But it is just a piece of cast iron that's seasoned, because the real trick isn't actually the pan that you cook it in. It's the temperature that the pan's at, the thickness of your batter, and what point that you add your ghee or your oil. Those are what are going to give you the most incredible texture on your dosa. The other thing we don't do is actually oil this before we cook it. And we also need to control the temperature like I talked about. So you get it really hot. You want it to have a lot of residual heat. So what we need to do is to drop the surface temperature of the pan down, but keep the residual heat underneath. And why we need to do that is because we actually want that to stick to the pan. And then we want it to lift off once it's got good color. So how we drop the surface temperature, we splash it with water. Then we get our batter in the center, and we use a circle motion to push it to the outside. You want to try and have it the same thickness all the way through, and if it starts to break through like you can see there, just go back over it again until you completely cover it with the same thickness all the way around. You want to wait before you put the ghee on. You want it to start browning, and then we'll add our ghee. Okay, we're starting to see some browning coming through, so we're going to start just drizzling on some ghee and around the outside. You don't need heaps of it. What that's going to do is soak through and basically allow you to lift this off, because we haven't greased it before we put it on. Get our plate ready. Don't rush it. Don't rush it, Andy. Sprinkle a little bit of our gunpowder now. Now we need to release it from the pan. We add our aloo to the center. And we fold over 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. Hear that noise, that little crunch? It's exactly what you want to hear. Now we need to flip this, like so. Dosa. Now we're just going to add our chutneys, coconut, tomato and onion. I hope this has given you the confidence to try this at home. Let's have a taste. We're just going to try the chutneys first. Get some aloo, bit of tomato. It's so simple but so complex at the same time. It's absolutely delicious. And remember, the key to this is making sure you trust the process. Get the fermentation right, get the consistency of your batter right, make sure your chutneys are full of flavor, and then get your temperature on your pan right. Not too hot, not too cold. I believe in you. Legends, thank you so much for watching. Make sure if you're not subscribed, then you click that subscribe button. We're here every week with new recipes. Like this video if you've taken anything from it, and we'll see you next week for another recipe. Peace.